Well, Steve, thank you so much for playing today.
Hey, thanks for having me here. What a treat.
Oh, man. You know, I'm so excited to get to play trombone with you.
Well, I used to play trombone a lot, but now these days I get called so much more for bass playing. But thanks for letting me take a try at it anyways.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't know from your playing, man. It sounds awesome.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
So I call this Mr. Trad because, I mean, from my estimation of the trombone players in town, you're one of the top people that's like a historian of trad jazz.
Thanks.
I mean, I just think of you as somebody that knows all the ins and outs. And can you talk just a little bit about how you got into playing this music?
Well, I guess I started on trombone. That was my first instrument back in grade school, but it was probably high school where it really kind of caught on for me. We formed our own Dixieland jazz band, and actually Jim Tenbent, who lives in town here, was one of my high school band directors.
Oh,
Believe it or
wow.
not, isn't that something?
Yeah.
My senior year in high school.
Man.
So that was a little crazy, but that was okay. So, and Jim's a wonderful player, as you know that.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
But that kind of started, and we got together once or twice a week. Just learning, first of all, from different books, like there's like Red McLeod books that had a lot of the standard jazz material. But then we took off from there and wrote our own lead sheets and kind of listened to recordings, and one thing led to another. We really formed a really nice Dixieland band back then. In fact, we even recorded our own album back in high school too. Dixieland album.
I got to hear that, man.
Well, you might want to and you might not, but it was good at the time. Yeah. It really was. Yeah. And but it's kind of more involved for me from trombone playing. I always had an itch to play the bass though too, and I think that kind of caught on for me more in my 20s. And I was able to play with some great guys in town, like some of the guys, Bill Evans and Charlie DeVore from the Hall Brothers classic jazz band, and that moved me into playing with the Jim Cullum jazz band for a couple of years in the early 2000s, so 2010, 2011.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you've had an opportunity to play with some big
I feel
names.
very fortunate. Yeah. Yeah.
So Steve, I want to say I'm really excited to play trombone with you today because when I first came to town, you were like one of the first names on the list of people I should be checking out.
Thank you very much. Well, you're a monster yourself, so it's a treat for me as well.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Well, so basically what happened was it'd be like, Steve Pikal's on the gig. Great, I get to see him play trombone. Maybe playing bass, which was amazing. You're a great bass player too, as you know, people around here know. But man, I was always like, I got to hear him play trombone at some point. So I finally did it. I did it because, like, for example, I'd have you sub in, like, back when I was playing with Davy and the Vagabonds.
Right, good group.
And then I would, come back and they'd say, oh, yeah, we call Steve the alien because he's just doing, like, crazy stuff, you know. I'm like, I got to hear him play sometime.
Yeah, that group is really fun. They're just a bunch of good people. And then always, in fact, I played bass with them, too, as well as trombone on occasion. Yeah. And just great guys. Great, yeah. And Davina's a great gal, too. So. Yeah.
So, you've made a career out of playing trombone. That was your primary instrument, but also bass.
Yes, yeah. Well, I started on trombone, and I love trombone, don't get me wrong, but I always had this little niche in the back of my head that said, I just really have this feel what a bass player should be doing during a frontline player's solo. And I just wanted to kind of get into that a little bit, and I just never looked back.
Well, Steve, do you have any advice for maybe some younger players that are looking at getting into playing trombone or maybe doubling on multiple instruments?
Well, absolutely. If you're doubling, that's all the better. In this day and age, it's the more things that you play well, the more calls you're going to get and the more things you're going to be able to do. But also just being a really good listener to CDs and being a good reader. I mean, you just got to prep yourself for just about anything that's kind of coming up your way. And it doesn't just have to be jazz, maybe classical or orchestral work, or maybe it's theater work or whatever, musicals. I mean, just prep yourself for everything because that's how you freelance in town, is to be good at everything, or try to be good at everything anyways.
Yeah. I do notice that us trombone players have our hands in a lot of different things.
Oh, you have to, yeah. But luckily, there's a lot of things that you can do as a trombone player. I mean, the classical world, the jazz world, it's full of a lot of different ins and outs. So.
And then, we haven't talked about this a lot, but you also play, you played with the Stud Brothers for a long time.
I did, years ago, yeah.
So wildly different style.
Oh my gosh, rhythm and blues, boy, that was a lot of fun. We played at a place in town, Bunkers, every Sunday for, 15, 16, 17, 18 years. But what a great gathering of 10 guys, 5 horns, 4 rhythm, and then Mick. It's just a mighty, mighty band. And it's still going on, too. So
Yeah. Y'all just had a show, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't do much with them as anymore because I'm playing so much bass these days, but I'm not able to kind of hit up with them. But back in the day, it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Yeah.
Those guys, yeah. And they're all pretty much still around, and they're all playing, and great players.
So, why don't you give us some highlights of things that you've been doing in town lately?
Oh, okay. Well, one that just happened was playing with the Travis Anderson Trio, myself, Travis Anderson, and Nathan Norman, and we did a tribute to video games, like Legend of Zelda, Animal Crossing. It was really fun. We turned it into a big jazz concert. Really, really wonderful turnout over to Dakota. And in fact, I don't think they knew if they really wanted to get into that because the thought of doing a video game tribute, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a jazz, it's going to be electronic kind of a concert. But no, it wasn't that at all. That's not what we do. But very much, I would say, had a lot of 1920s, 30s, 40s type of feel of how we approached it. But I like just in general staying in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, musically wise. Standards, working with singers and big bands and all that. So kind of a chameleon on those type of things.
Oh, yeah. So you talk a lot about the 20s, 30s, 40s, Great American Songbook tunes. I always thought that, being a bass player, you would really learn tunes a lot better because you'd be playing the form and the changes the whole time. And it's more recently I've started playing, some sousaphone gigs where I'm playing bass lines, and
Sure.
I just feel like it's a great way to learn tunes.
It is. I mean, I guess for me, I had so many wonderful people, my senior, that had me on gigs so I could really learn a lot of songs, traditional songs and standards. Basically just jump into the fire and go. There's not a lot of music in front of you and a lot of these gigs in the past. It's just like they'll call a tune, and if you don't know it, you better learn it in a hurry.
Yeah,
so, so that's what I did. But I'm really grateful to a lot of people like the Bill Evans and Charlie DeVore, some of the Hall Brothers guys, and going out working with the Jim Cullum Band. I mean, just there's the repertoire of songs and tunes that they were doing. It just gave me a head full of tunes.
Yeah. And I'd imagine backing up vocalists in town,
Love it. Yeah.
You're constantly working on riff.
Oh, absolutely, and everybody's got their own little thing. So, but it's wonderful. I mean, it's just like playing everybody's bag. I love jumping into the fire that way too. I mean, you just never know what you're going to get, but everybody's got something good to offer as far as that goes.
Yeah. Steve, something I notice is it doesn't matter if it's a rehearsal, a gig, you always put off a really positive vibe.
Thanks so much. I really love what I do, and playing music has got such a good feel. I mean, it's such a passion. I also think too that when you're out there performing, I think the people that are coming to hear you play deserve to have a really good experience. And I think that they don't want to hear about your sick dog or any of that kind of thing. They want to have a great time, and you're getting paid to play, and you're also getting paid to entertain. We aren't just musicians; we are entertainers too. So that's how I look at it.
What do you say we go record this tune?
Hey, I think it's a great idea. Let's do it.
All right.
All right.